What's going on, everybody? Welcome to The Wire. It's that time of the week where we tell you sports from our side of the field, and it looks a little different in the studio today. We are missing two members of our cast, Mr. Tony Ray and Mr. Richie Phillips, but don't worry, guys. They're okay. They'll be back with us for the next episode of the H2G podcast on Monday, and you'll see us again next Wednesday, so no worries. Joining us in place of them is somebody you might recognize from the H2G podcast, or if you're a fan of Ohio sports. And I don't know, now, Sahi, I don't have all your accolades down, but I know you're a multi-divisional college athlete. You were a Division I high school football player as well, and some of the other accolades. Sahi has joined us today. What's going on, man?
What's going on? You forgot I ran the track and field.
That's right.
State and that. So yeah,
that's lays out.
No, can't forget the wheels.
What's up, brother? Great to have you back on the show.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Of all time, like that is a
man. My you know what I'm saying. You see, I had to just straighten up a little bit. I hope it's not, you know what I'm saying, too messed up for y'all.
Nah, it looks good, brother.
It looks good. Hey,
looks good, man. You gotta shut up.
Thanks. Yeah.
We got my brother, as always, Mr. Marvin Scott in the house. Marvin, how's your week going, man?
Going well, man. It's going well. There's a lot of games I got to see during Turkey Day. It was entertaining, needless to say. It's been a crazy week, though, for sports, man. It's good to be on the show.
Oh, yeah. We got some stuff to talk about. Yeah, just because we're shorthanded, don't think that you're going to get shorthanded. We are going to talk about all kinds of fun things, but we would be remiss to not bring up, what do they call it? It was another Thrilla, I know, but it was not the Thrilla Manila. It was the Thrilla during COVID. I don't know. Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. Had their bout. And
legendary.
Legendary. It was an expedition. It seems like the crowd wanted more from that. Supposedly Tyson wanted more. Maybe we'll see more. I'd like to hear what you guys had to say. Marvin, did you get a chance to watch some of that fight, man?
To be honest with you, man, I saw the first round, and something happened in the middle of the round. I had to stop. I think it was like a game that was on. I got a score update. Y'all know how that goes. But yeah, I saw the first round, and from what I could see, it looked like Jones was not prepared for this fight. He didn't look like he was physically ready, because we have seen Mike Tyson for months. You know, we've seen these videos of him talking about he's ready to kill a man again. He feels like that killer again, and I believe him. You know, like we all used to believe him back in the day when he used to say what he was going to do going to a fight. Because y'all know what he used to say, Si. You remember? He said, everybody's got a plan till they what?
They get punched in the mouth.
Till they get punched in the mouth. Right. So that's what we were all kind of hoping for. Like I was hoping for a knockout. But, I mean, it looks as if we didn't get it. Sahi, what'd you think of the whole fight, brother?
The fight, it was a little disappointing. I wanted to see Mike Tyson really get in there and knock him out, but Jones came in with a game plan. He said, I'm not going to get hit. I'm going to tie these arms and wait for the 2 rounds to be, the 2 minutes to be over. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was a good atmosphere, though, overall.
So, yeah, at least they made a spectacle out of it. You know, looking at the body landed percentages, Tyson with 35, he was 67 for 193. Jones, 16% of his punches landed to the body with 37 out of 236. The jabs were off. Tyson was at 18% with 10 out of 56, and Jones was at 11 with 9 out of 85. And the powered punches, 42% on Tyson, 57 out of 137 thrown. 19% on Jones' side with 28 out of 151. Total punches landed. You guys got a guess? I'll give you Jones first. How many do you think he landed total? Anybody?
What you got, Marv?
I'm saying he landed at least less than 40 punches, man.
Less than 40. What do you think, Sahi?
Yeah. I'm going to say about 67.
About 67. Marvin, he actually landed 37 punches. 67 punches is actually the exact amount of punches that Mike Tyson landed in that fight. So it was overall underperformed on both sides. But, if you get an opponent that's just kind of trying to survive, you can't really show off. I guess the question that everybody had watching those training videos just remains unanswered. We don't know if Tyson can hang because he didn't really have that kind of fight, but a cool atmosphere. I hear the performances were awesome. Some crazy, Wiz Khalifa and Snoop Dogg and who else?
St. John performed. YG performed. French Montana.
Hey.
Sway Lee featured guests. It was a star-studded event. You know what I'm saying? It was nice. It was nice. It was legendary for sure.
Legendary. Awesome. Well, yeah, maybe we'll see Tyson in another fight. We are going to kick the NFL.
You can't forget the legendary knockout now.
There was
Nate Robinson.
Yeah.
Oh man. We gotta talk. We gotta cover that before we move on. Justin, I watched this fight, and it was hilarious.
Yes, it
From
was.
Start to finish. We were just talking before the show, y'all, Justin, that Nate Robinson. We had seen him fight in the NBA. We had seen him getting the spats before, and he was always that little dude rushing into a fight, because I'm a short dude. We got a stereotype, in fights, because we so mad, we just rush in. And he kind of fit that mold, Sahi. Like, he just kept rushing in and rushing in. And I'm like, no. I said, Logan Paul is actually a trained fighter. I said, he knows how to use that against you. So, it didn't go. It didn't go well, y'all. Logan Paul was landing punches, and Nate Robinson was taking some haymakers. He got up after the first one, and I was like, okay, all right. Nate Robinson's a tough dude. He can take this knockdown.
Yeah, ref should have stopped it right there.
Right. It's like Craig's dad said to him on Friday. He said, you've been down before. Right. And so Nate gets up and just like he charges him again, and I was like, what did his trainers say to him before this fight? And sure enough, Logan Paul hit him with a right, and he didn't get up. He just didn't get up. And I was like, man, NBA stands for never box again. For Nate. Never box again, for sure. For sure. I was like, man, he's just rushing in there, swinging wild. That's not the formula. He was out of control.
Right. And I was listening to the broadcast. I couldn't stop laughing. Snoop Dogg. Oh my God. He needs to be a permanent boxing commentator. He had me rolling the whole time. I couldn't stop laughing.
Oh man.
It was a crazy event, man. It was so funny.
It makes you wonder because none of these crossovers to the fighting sports have really gone that well. CM Punk had been known for being a sports entertainer with the World Wrestling Entertainment and having a background in jiu-jitsu. So like the switch to UFC made sense, right? Got destroyed every time. Yeah. I mean, Dana White literally said, we love this guy with all heart. He's an amazing person. He's not a mixed martial artist.
No. I did not enjoy watching CM Punk in the UFC in any fight.
But, same thing here. Maybe go back to worrying about the NBA. We could touch quickly. Right? Do you guys have any other fights that stood out for that night before we move on?
No, I mean, we just want to see some more charity. We want to see more fights like that. I mean, it's entertaining. The people want to see it. We all want to see it. Right. I mean, during times like this, I mean, it's entertaining. Nobody can really say I'm like, oh, why did those athletes do that? It's a cross promotion. It's fun, man. Like, I mean, we want to see more fights like that. I want to see who Tyson got next. He wants next to somebody.
Maybe Tyson should make a real move towards he would be able to surpass the Randy Couture story of coming back at 47 and winning the belt.
You know he wants to. You know he wants to come back and get at least one more shot. That's how his mind.
Tyson versus
happen. I mean, if Tyson was to come back and fight for the title, I want to see him go up against Tyson Fury.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Mike Tyson versus Tyson Fury.
Give him one shot. Just give him one shot. See if he can shock the world. I would love to see that. And
everybody in the world is tuning in.
If he wins the belt, y'all, he can relinquish it and just be like, he just did that. It'll be the greatest. It'll be the greatest comeback story ever.
Ever. Because Tyson Fury was named after Mike Tyson.
Yeah, it'd be a great story either way. Like, definitely.
Right.
I'm saying the Balboa reboot brought to life. Well, we can dip our toes in the NBA. I don't want to spend a lot of time there. One big update I saw: they are going to take a different approach than the bubble for this season. So I thought we could kind of kick that around a little. They're gonna accept the fact that they need to bring fans in and that there's going to be cases and there's going to be delays. I think they released the schedule for the first half of the season. I think they're leaving the back half open at the moment to make adjustments as they need to go. The bubble seems so successful though, Marvin. What are your thoughts of why they're getting rid of it or the point of getting rid of it? Is it just a money deal like we've talked in the past?
It's a money deal. You look at sponsorship, you look at viewership and endorsements. The NBA, from a business perspective, is looking at how much, justifying these players' salaries. I think that they need to still have a protocol in place, like they did when they were in the bubble, because as you can see, it's not working for the NFL. Every team has got a depleted roster, and that's what I'm worried about the NBA going forward. Because you've got, you've got superstar players just like you do in the NFL, like that you got to protect. Like you can't guarantee if a player catches COVID that they're just going to recover in 2 weeks' time. I mean, you don't know how every person is different. So I think that the NBA is going to find a way to get fans in there, but get them in there at a place where you can still socially distance fans. I know that some college basketball, they're trying to find a way to do that now. But I think Adam Silver, since he did a good job with the bubble, I think he'll do the same thing along with, bringing fans in. They'll have to find a way to make it safe.
Sahi, you think the play for the money is worth it? You think it's going to inevitably start to crash? I mean, we're seeing, we'll talk about the NFL and the downward spiral that's taken. Are your sentiments right there with Marvin, or how do you feel about getting rid of the bubble and moving on to a different setup?
Yeah, it's going to be real tricky. It's going to be real tricky because the bubble was so successful, but at the same time, you weren't playing as many games and you were going right into the playoffs. So trying to get through a full 82-game season, I'm thinking they might have to taper that back a little bit, wait to start the season. It's such a tricky situation with that. I would like to see them do like maybe regional bubbles. I don't know how that would work, where you play certain amount of teams a couple times. Whoever comes out on top in those regional bubbles moves on. I don't know. They could. There's so many things they could play with. I don't know.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
The UFC's
that's a good idea.
They got Fight Island up and running. That's a concept. I mean, there's a lot of islands out there, aren't there?
Right. Yeah, and that could be like with the bubble zones. You can bring fans in for a region. You know what I'm saying? So they can possibly see their team or just see the NBA. Period. You know what I'm saying? And maybe the top teams have more home-centered like places where they can play, and the lower teams have to travel out of the area, and then because they're teams that sell the most tickets, you want to have the zones there. But I don't know, they'll figure something out. It's going to be interesting. It's a long season.
Man, Adam Silver needs to listen to The Wire and get some ideas. I mean, you could sell the bubble experience pass to the regional clients, and they get to live in the bubble with the players.
Just right. It's just like this is just weird times, y'all. I mean, it's weird having this conversation about fans coming in the ball games, whether anybody's going to be there or not. Hopefully, things change, but it's like you said, Saeed, that's a good idea. I mean, kind of regionally do it. I mean, they have to find a way to come up with something, an innovative way or something.
Yeah.
Last take on this. Couple things. We've been talking free agency NBA because, as we know, they're not getting much of a break. They're going to come back by Christmas, hell or high water, it looks like. And we talked last week. AD and Giannis are still free agents as of today, right? Still not signed. Do we think that they're waiting to pull some kind of magic out of the hat and just further buff that that situation in LA, or just a who knows situation with this?
Well, I think with the AD thing, he's just waiting and just really carefully going over the contract, because obviously he wants to stay in LA. So, and it's going to be a big decision, because does he want to stay for a long time or maybe just a couple years? And with Giannis, I wasn't aware that he was in contract negotiations. I thought he had one more year, but he should definitely go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Well, there's speculation. I don't know that anybody said it for sure, but there's speculation that the reason his contract hasn't been renewed yet is because there may be talks. I think is what, right, Marvin? What was said last week?
There may be talks. It's something that they're trying to plan right now. I think that Anthony Davis is looking at his contract situation and going over it with the team, going over it with LeBron James, and they're thinking about the future. Okay, who else can we bring in, to be that third guy? Because you look at LeBron James, he's getting older. Still, LeBron James is going to be LeBron James, but after LeBron leaves, you're going to have somebody along with Anthony Davis if he's still there. So I think that's what they're looking at. A one-on-one this year for possibly AD, seeing what Giannis is going to do. But I think ultimately it looks like it could happen, but I don't see it happening right now. But I could see it. I could see it in the foreseeable future. I could see Giannis ending up in LA.
And he's negotiating future contracts, right? He does have a year still, I think.
Yeah, he has the option to decline or accept the extension from Milwaukee. The Supermax, being offered the Supermax. But I don't think. Sahi, like you said, he won out. I don't think he's going to sign the Supermax. I don't think anybody that's a fan of Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to want him to sign that Supermax, because at this point, like Giannis said, if you're a two-time MVP, you want to play for a championship, and he understands that. Even though the Bucks made some moves this summer, it's just not enough. Look at who they get, Sahi. Who they add? Help me out here. Exactly. If we can't think of the names right off, then they're not marquee. There's no cachet. Right. So you're going to have to go to either a Miami or the Lakers. So I don't blame them for waiting to see what's going to happen.
Don't go anywhere. You're watching The Wire. We got a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk NFL.
Are you tired of the mundane one subject, one point of view podcast? Have you been searching for a show that combines comedy, games, current events, and hot new up-and-coming artists? Well, look no further. The H2G podcast has everything you need to start your week out right. So what are you waiting for? Stream previous seasons now at h2gpodcast.com. The H2G Podcast, Mondays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Available at all social media platforms near you.
All right, welcome back to The Wire. It is time to talk NFL, and what a weird week. Some great games, but also just madness. So I'll do the quick rundown, and then Sahi, the way we handle things here is I'll offer you guys a few games, and you can just offer to take it or defer once I give a little rundown here. So starting back on Monday, we had the last Monday, which we'll just leave that out actually. So Thanksgiving, we had Texans and Lions. Texans won that with 41-25. Washington versus Dallas, 41-16 to the Washington football team. On Sunday, the Falcons wiped the Raiders 43-6. The Bills beat the Chargers 27-17. The Giants edged the Bengals 19-17. The Titans laid the smackdown on the Colts 45-26. We had the Panthers and the Vikings, a 1-point finish. Vikings took that away 28-27. Patriots and Cardinals, another close game on Sunday. The Patriots came away with that 20-17. The Dolphins wiped the Jets, as we all expected. The Jets are now 0-11, 20-3. Marvin, the Browns beat the Jaguars 27-25. The Saints beat the Broncos, who were quarterbackless and literally taken options from anywhere. I mean, you could have just been in Denver that day and had a chance to play. 31-3, the Saints took that one. 49ers and Rams, another close game. A lot of close games this week, 23-20. The Chiefs and the Buccaneers, 27-24. Kansas City takes that one away. And the Packers took their rivals, the Bears, down 41-25. And the fate of the Steelers-Ravens game, you may be able to watch with us after The Wire when this debuts on Wednesday, because now it has been pushed back to 3:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, December 2nd. This is the third pushback of that game. COVID has once again made its mark on the NFL, but it hasn't stopped some close games and some absolute wipeouts. So we'll toss this around. Sahi, do you want to take or defer the Texans and the Lions?
I'll defer.
Defer that one. How about Kansas City and Tampa Bay?
Ooh, I'm taking this one. I am taking this one. I got to start by saying I'm biased. I'm a Buccaneers fan. Have been forever. Not a bandwagon.
For a long time. I think over 15 years I've seen the Tampa Bay gear.
So there you have it. Not just because of Tom Brady. Oh, my goodness. Where do I start? That defense, man. They wanted to crown the team in August to be Super Bowl champions, but it comes through the season. We already lost 5 games, all the good teams. We've lost to all the good teams. Only good one we beat was the Packers, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating you. The game plan, if you watch the game defensively, Tyreek Hill had 203 yards in the first quarter. Have you guys ever seen that? Ever seen that?
He ran the length of the field with the ball.
Sahi, I've played Madden. I played Madden for a long time, and I can't do that in the first quarter. I've tried.
It's hard to do it in a video game.
I don't think it. I can put it on easy. I can put it on pro. I can put it on amateur, and I still can't think I can do that. They are putting up video game numbers.
And Madden, you can't run down the field and get so broken away from your coverage that you're able to do a standing back flip into the end zone either.
Mm-hmm. The coaches came unprepared. You're playing the fastest receivers in the league. And all in the first quarter, they had him one-on-one single coverage, no safety help over the top. What do you think is going to happen? Exactly what happened. Tyreek Hill had a field day. Now the defense clamped down, and we were able to come back, make the score look closer than what it was. But I knew after the Kansas City went up 3-0, it was over, just by the way the defense is playing. And Tom Brady and that offense, they got to figure it out. Because They scored 0 points in the first half. You talking about you got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, Leonard Fournette at running back. They even got LaShawn McCoy on the bench. They got all this great talent out there, and they can't put the ball in the end zone once in the first half. And Kansas City, they're not a top defense. If you talk to anybody before this game, they're going, "Oh yeah, it's going to be a shootout." Both of these defenses are playing bad, but we made we made it look like Kansas City had Ray Lewis out there. It was horrible. But at the end of the day, we're going to be all right. Buccaneers are going to be all right. They got the Vikings coming up next. They got the Lions. They play the Falcons twice. So they'll get into the playoffs. They'll probably, if they see Kansas City again, it's going to be in the Super Bowl, which is played in Tampa this year. So it'll be interesting to see the rest of the way out for those Buccaneers.
Man, I just hope we get that far.
Right.
But if they're going to meet any AFC team in the Super Bowl, I don't think it's going to be Kansas City. Anyway, that's a hot
Here
take.
we
That's
go,
not fair. That's not.
Here we go.
It might be the one.
I mean, I just got to weigh in for a moment. And
okay, go ahead.
I know Tampa Bay's got weapons from top to bottom, even though we're not seeing it being reflected in the defense. But I think the one obstacle will keep the Bucs from getting to the Super Bowl. Sahi, you and I both know Bruce Arians may not be the guy. Because if he's on the sidelines taking shots at the franchise quarterback and he's not having any culpability, not even doing it in private, he's doing it on national TV.
Everywhere. He don't care.
Everywhere. So I don't think that, they don't have it seems to me like they don't have the voice. They got everything else you need. It seems like when you see teams like this, minus the Chiefs, because they've got weapons at the ass, but they've got Andy Reid. Reid. You look at the Bucs. I mean, you look at, like you just named off all those weapons. They got Bruce Arians.
Yeah.
Not to say Bruce Arians is not a good coach, but if he can't out-coach the good teams, it's the only thing that'll keep them from the Super Bowl. But I think if you got the GOAT as your franchise quarterback, I mean, I think the team, he can rally both the defense and the offense. They're just going to have to probably put a deaf ear towards Bruce Arians. They won't go
exactly. Once playoff time comes, everything's got to be coming from Tom offensively. And I just hope for us to have a chance, that defense, they just got to study some film and know what they're doing out there, man.
The secondary needs to step up.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
2 weeks in a row, quarterbacks have completed 80% of their passes in the first half. And that is horrible. The teams are just picking them apart, throwing it where they want. It's open people everywhere.
I think you look at Todd Bowles, the defensive coordinator, y'all. I mean, I like Todd Bowles, Sahi. I do.
Yeah, good coach.
He's a good coach, but you just got to get it together. You got to hold these guys accountable.
Yeah. That is true. We'll see how far they can go. We'll see. It's up in the air right now.
All right, Marvin. I'm anxious to see which ones you want to hear. So first one, I'm going to throw your way. You want to chop up? We got Cleveland versus the Jags. It was 27-25 Cleveland.
I'm going to defer it this week, Saeed, Justin, folks out there listening. I'm going to defer it this week. I can't. All you Browns fans out there, folks of Ohio, if you enjoyed the win, all the power to you. But I'm going to tell you, like I told these fellas before we started this show, the Browns are the worst 8-3 team in the league. And if you go and watch them, if you go watch the football game in their entirety, from start to finish, you'll see what I'm talking about. Go watch the defense. Now, minus Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward coming back, great. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, I got nothing bad to say about them. But I do got something bad to say about Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, okay. You know what? I can't defer it. Next week. Whatever.
All right, so I got two other options here. Let's see. Are you gonna take or defer Saints and Broncos?
Give me this game. Give me this game. Okay, I'll take the gloves off on this game. All right, Sahi, Justin, we've all this whole week, this whole season, COVID this, COVID that, report here, positive test here. Oh, positive test. Oh, it's a negative test. You keep going back and forth, back and forth. But what they didn't do, y'all, was cancel a game that had no quarterback. We all got the report a few days ago, y'all, that it was Drew Lock and all the other backup quarterbacks are going to sit because of COVID contact tracing. None of them tested positive, but because of COVID contact tracing, none of the quarterbacks could play. So that left, I think his name's Hinton, was first name Kurt Hinton, KJ Hinton, a wide receiver, played quarterback this past Sunday. Now, hats off to this kid. You know, he could probably tell his grandkids one day, his kids, that he played quarterback and that he just, he just wasn't very good. But it just wasn't his fault, man. He was thrown into a rough situation. And this game from start to finish was just a dumpster fire. I mean, this was a game that should have been canceled. They talk about canceling shit the whole week. This one should have been canceled. How do you play a football game? Sahi, you play football. How do you play a football game with no quarterback? It'd
be very hard, very hard.
Very hard, right. Yeah. So if they had asked you, Sahi, all our quarterbacks are sick. Do you want to play quarterback? I'm sure you would take on the challenge, but it would be hard. So you don't expect any kind of competition coming from this game, y'all. You don't. So the Saints came into this game, did what they were supposed to do. They have an injured Drew Brees. They brought Tyson Hill in, who Sean Payton thinks is the second coming of Michael Vick. And I'm only saying that from an emotional standpoint because I play fantasy football out there, y'all, and I have Alvin Kamara. So y'all can imagine that all those touchdowns at the goal line were vultured by Taysom Hill. But if you look at the Saints, they're playing good football. The Saints defense is playing the best defense it's played all season. The Saints definitely, I mean, if you're the Saints, I mean, you have to be a little worried because Taysom Hill looked awful. He looked awful too. Besides those two touchdowns that he had at the ground on the 1 yard line, you're starting to see the production diminish from everybody on the side of the ball, minus Latavius Murray. So it's really going to be interesting to see what Sean Payton does in the next couple of weeks, surviving without Drew Brees, if they get Drew Brees back, because the Saints can't win in the postseason with Taysom Hill. Sahi, Justin, we all know that. Taysom Hill is not the guy. I mean, you got Jameis Winston back there, which was up.
They sure ain't winning with Winston.
Which is right.
Take it from me. I'm a Bucs fan. They're not winning with Winston.
When you throw, you may be right, Sahi. When you throw 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions, I mean, you might as well give yourself the defensive MVP and the MVP because you're just throwing it to yourself. So, I mean, I think Sean
made his own 30 for 30. ESPN ain't got to come
30 for 30. Right. So I think Sean Payton weighed that in. If you look at this game, the Broncos their season is over. Drew Lock is not going to come back anytime soon. They got to figure out what they're going to do with this COVID situation. But that just goes to show, Justin, I see where your frustrations came in the last few episodes with COVID. It's been completely irresponsible, y'all. We just talked about this on the last segment about what the NBA should do. It's been complete bullshit what the NFL has done. Roger Goodell is not done nearly enough to have the protocol to protect his players. That was a clown show that we saw in yesterday's game. Saints Broncos. Unbelievable. They're talking about canceling games. When you don't have a quarterback and you play 2 running backs at the quarterback position, and then you have a wide receiver that you're playing at quarterback, cancel the game. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody on earth wants to see that kind of football. So I would defer it. There were no highlights to see in this game. Alvin Kamara, 50 yards. Latavius Murray, 2 touchdowns. Mike Thomas just came back 50 yards. I'm done. There wasn't too much to say about this game. Frank Fangio is going to be fired. I think there's anything else we can say about this. Other than that, Saeed, I'm done. I'm done with this. Yeah. This COVID, this whole season is a sham.
Well, and it's funny.
Can you believe they tried to get one of their assistant coaches to play quarterback.
Even more believable. Moving on.
Wow.
Moving on. Well, and that leads me to the game that I want to talk about. And then since we're shorthanded, I will throw one hot take game in that we can all kind of pitch in as a closer, and then we'll wrap this up. We're going to keep it a little shorter than usual, back to our normal time next week. I'm going to talk Steelers-Ravens because here we are, and I said this, 3 weeks ago when they played last. First of all, COVID has made it very abundantly clear that football's a bad idea, and it was already that before the season even started. That was my take back in Justo's Best when the Wire was still a segment. I just don't agree with even trying to play this sport when you're not going to bubble everybody. I mean, the only option was to guarantee that everybody that you were going to have play this year was COVID free, and then you kept them all together inside in one place. And then, they can play football all they want, but you can't have everybody come in there. You're jeopardizing that. And every week we've just seen it get worse and worse. You want to know why Denver was out quarterbacks? Because contact tracing is extremely important. We've talked about this. I've been on quarantine twice. Second time was with symptoms. First time was because of contact tracing. If you think about the amount of people that you come into contact with from your potential exposure date, which is all over the radar with the NFL, your potential exposure date is every fucking new place that you go into, every new room that you have to enter. I know they're trying to do as much as they can with Zoom, but now we're playing games on Wednesdays and then back at it on Sunday or what, put the 10-0 Steelers, So let's get into this. The Ravens, we're pushing this back. They didn't practice today. Today is Tuesday. We record on Tuesday nights Monday. Today is Monday. They didn't practice. Hopefully they can practice tomorrow. They're down 24-25 with positive COVID tests out of their 50 on staff, right? So they're half gone. And they're going to try to prepare for their divisional rivals, known to be one of the most physical games of the season, both times. Every year, regardless of how the teams play, this game is beheld as a extremely physical and competitive game. It can't be that for anybody's mindset. I don't know, Sahi, I'd love to hear what you have to say about the locker room mindset going into a hardy division rival like this, wanting to beat them up and play the game that you usually play, knowing that you're not even getting the team. You're getting half the team if they get to play Wednesday. You're getting half the Ravens with no practice. And I mean, is it worth it, guys? Is it worth it to keep pressing this forward and keep, altering the schedules and putting players, once again, putting people's bodies at risk? I mean, the injuries have got to be skyrocketing. You know what I'm saying? What do you think, Sahi?
Yeah, number one, you're going to want to play the game regardless if you're the football players, but that's not really what is safe to do. I really feel like the Ravens should have to forfeit the game, especially having, what, you said 24 people on the COVID protocol?
I know it's above 20. I think it's between 22 and 24. Yeah,
at that point, that's just players not being accountable. And it's not the Steelers' fault. I would like pushing the game back would be okay if both teams were having problems, you know what I'm saying, and they were trying to figure it out. But if it's just one team, they can't get it together, either take them off for that week or just take them out the season, in their season early. And I think that's what should go forward, because, it's like the Buccaneers, my team, we had one guy, or maybe a couple guys on the COVID list but as a most part for our team, and as for the most part on the whole as a league, it's been pretty contained. You've had teams that have had large numbers. This is probably one of the first times the NFL has had something like this. And what is this, week 12? Week 11?
I mean, we've been seeing little changes here and there, exposure getting in. We've seen some of the crackdowns on the rules, but this week, has definitely been the most explosive when it comes to numbers. And I mean, at this point, guys, we're looking at they're going to need to be pulling college recruits in just to play the Super Bowl. I mean, we're not going to have anybody left because, I mean, contract tracing is exactly what it sounds like. And they should absolutely be taken out if you have any chance of making contact with these people, because the virus is mutated. It's airborne. Those quarterbacks in Denver got together and had a meeting without masks together, all the quarterbacks in one room. They fucked that team. I honestly think they deserve to go out there and get shit on. But you know, at the same time, I honestly think the whole NFL should shut down because I love football.
Don't shut it down.
Yeah, I get it, but as much as I love football, man, it's not working. I don't think they're contending, and I think it's going to get way worse before it gets better. And I don't think it'll get better. I think they're still, even though the COVID numbers are going up and cities are closing and people's jobs are being lost and people are dying still of this disease, they are filtering more and more people into the stadiums. They're figuring out ways. Even the NBA is now cashing in on this, like we talked about. I don't know. It's crazy. All right, hot take before we go. It was a game that I know both of you kind of wanted to touch on, but you wanted to touch on your other games more. Washington and Dallas, the best division in NFL history. Thought we could bring up Washington's massive 41-16 win over the Dallas Cowboys and see what you guys, what your hot takes were there.
Oh my God, where to start? What happened to the Cowboys? What happened? They had it all, but really what happened is they got injuries on the O-line. The quarterback got hurt. They weren't able to. They just got the head coach, defensive coordinator. They're in year one of a new system and everything. The only positive is they're not out of it. Even with the loss to the Washington Redskins, and who knows what's going to happen with that division. It's terribly bad. It's horrible to watch, but at the same time, it's exciting to watch. It's like watching a train crash. You don't want to see it, but you can't look away. You know, kind of one of those things. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah. So, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, man. I mean, like you said, they got a depleted offensive line. I think Zach Martin is out for the year. But where they really look bad, and I think you guys have seen this, and they really look bad is Ezekiel Elliott. Let's talk about him for a second. He does not look the same. He does not look the same. Yeah. Elliott. Yeah. Elliott does not look the same as he did back in 2016 when he was first drafted at Ohio State. He does not look like that same explosive running back. And you had thought that when Dak went down, y'all, that Zeke would step up and then he would be like, okay, this is my team. But he just hasn't looked the part. And Tony Pollard is getting more carries. As you can see, the run game is abysmal. So with Andy Dalton, they have to chuck the football because most of the time they're playing from behind. And it looked like from the start of this game, it looked as if the Cowboys were doing a good job defensively, but then they started to fall back into the same ways of defense they've been playing all year. Just lack of effort, guys not holding each other accountable. They get frustrated, they get down, they just stop playing. And I think that's what you've seen a lot this year. You know, with COVID and the lack of a preseason, practices being condensed. I mean, I think you're starting to see frustrations beyond, football, start to show on the field because this was an absolute routing. I mean, this was a routing. Antonio Gibson, the rookie running back out of the Washington football team, looks like the next real deal. He's joined that list of rookie running backs this year that's having a great season. You look at the Washington football team's quarterback, Alex Smith. He's not mobile anymore. What excuse do the Cowboys have for not at least containing him a little bit? He can't run anymore. He can't hurt you. But like I said, we could start a football team on this panel and it would be just as successful against the Cowboys. I mean, they just look like a depleted team. Sahi, they need to fire the defensive coordinator, Justin, you know they need to fire him. They need to be done. Somebody needs to be fired. That's the ASAP. You know, I never, you know, as a matter of fact, I was never okay with the Mike McCarthy signing to begin with. You know, Mike McCarthy was relatively pedestrian in Green Bay. And you look at the offensive play calling. I mean, come on. It's almost as if it's like, bro, you've got these weapons. Even if, like, you signed Andy Dalton for this reason, for something to happen, because y'all planned on something happening to Dak Prescott. Right. So you signed him for this reason to be better than that. I just don't see it. You know, like you said, Saeed, Justin, this is the worst division in football historically. I don't give a damn who makes it as division. I don't want to see any one of these teams in the playoffs.
Not at all. It's going to be sad to watch. Because who wants to see a
it's crazy. The team that wins the division is going to have home field.
Right. Yeah, they're
fucking playoffs.
Barely have 5 wins on the season. They're in the playoffs. That's horrible.
We need Jim Mora. Where's Jim Mora at when you need it? Playoffs? I just want to win a game. Oh, man.
But it is amazing to see what's happening with Alex Smith and what's with the Washington football team and everything that's going on over there, seeing them get a big win.
Losing the team.
Yeah, they've got it. The one thing about them, they got a tremendous defense. That defensive line, got all number 1 draft picks over there. They're going to be all right in the coming years. I'm sad to see what's his Ohio State quarterback. He was Dwayne Haskins. It's sad to see him lose his job in the worst division of football, but they got a bright future ahead of them coming up.
I think there's a lot of job uncertainty in that division right now across the board, coaches, players, everybody.
Yeah.
But man, and hopefully, you know, Washington's got a good future football wise. I hope they also have a future name. maybe we can get an actual name instead of Washington. Week 12, still don't have one. They couldn't settle on something that wasn't racist, so here we are with the Washington football team, week 12. But Sahi, Marvin, thank you for standing in. I've said this before. I never worry with the group of people that surrounds the H2G podcast, whether it be artists, guests, everybody, the host. I mean, I'm never worried. If we lose people, we can still put on a show. I thank you guys for sharing your opinions. We will be back on The Wire next Wednesday. Don't forget to check out the H2G podcast Monday mornings at 10 on Facebook, YouTube. You can find all of this good stuff at h2gpodcast.com. Next week, we'll talk more NFL. We'll try to get into the story about Steph Curry now playing with 2 of his former camp grads. I think that's something we could get into there. Anybody else got any last words they want to spit out?
No, I want to thank Sahi for coming on the show, brother. It was great talking some sports with you, man. And best of luck to you. And the album got coming out, brother.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. It's been fun on kicking it with you guys, man. Got to do this again real soon. Yeah. All
right. Well, you've been watching The Wire, folks. We'll see you next week.